Further afield, the International Monetary Fund has cancelled a planned meeting of Mozambique's standing credit facility after new data emerged indicating that the country had failed to disclose exactly how much public debt it has on its books. Now, the director of the fund's Africa department, Antoinette Sayeh, said the IMF probed the new debt after it emerged that bonds sold to investors for a tuna-fishing fleet actually ended up funding Mozambique's defense and security sector instead. Now, the IMF said the undisclosed debt reached about $1 billion through Credit Suisse and Russia's VTB bank. Last year, the IMF agreed to loan Mozambique $286 million to help cushion its economy following deep declines in commodity prices and, of course, a steep devaluation in its currency.
We are currently ascertaining, in cooperation with the authorities, the facts regarding this borrowing. We have advised the authorities that any undisclosed debt-related transactions, irrespective of their purpose, need to be reported transparently and publicly. Such disclosure is essential to ensure full accountability of the government to its citizens and Parliament, allow an accurate assessment of the previously undisclosed debt on the macroeconomic outlook, and assess the impact of these possible transactions on the IMF-supported arrangements with Mozambique.
Now, as you might be aware, this week has been all about the IMF and the World Bank spring meetings in Washington. Daniel Ranges has been covering that in detail for us. He joins us now live from that city. Daniel, let's start with, of course, those latest revelations coming out of Mozambique. What more do we know about this loan?
Well, the IMF isn't disclosing all the details about the possible fishing fleet and all that, but there has been substantial financial reporting in the last month or so on this. And the story goes that Credit Suisse issued bonds worth $500 million. The Russian bank issued debt of $350 million, making $850 million. It was designed to create a new fishing fleet to fish for tuna. But in the intervening months, it's turned out that much of the money went to military use, including gunships for the Navy. And lo and behold, it turns out that profits from the nascent tuna industry have not been forthcoming. And the Mozambique authorities have gone back to the debt holders and said that they don't believe they can pay everything back. Those negotiations are still going on. Meanwhile, the IMF is claiming that it didn't really know much about this and has only just got confirmation from the minister who's arrived here in Washington that in fact the level of debt that has previously been undisclosed to them is over $1 billion US. So understandably, the IMF is now seeking greater clarity about where this money came from, where it went, how it's been spent, and many more details, because they simply can't make a projection about how to deal with Mozambique and how to issue further assistance to Mozambique until they get all of that clarified.
Indeed, it's certainly a spanner in the works. Mozambique isn't the only country that's getting IMF support. Zambia and Angola have both initiated talks with the fund for support. How far along are those talks?
Well, in the case of Zambia, we currently have a situation where they are engaged in preparatory discussions about possible lending. So both sides appear willing, but the discussions are very early stages, and the IMF's indicated today that there won't be in the full level of discussions until the fourth quarter, when Zambia's had its elections. But they are very concerned about the level of debt, the expense of debt that Zambia recently took on, and they are urging Zambia to really rein in some of the spending. Now, on Angola, they seem to be much further along with the discussions. The IMF pointed out today that oil represents 95% of Angolan oil exports and 70% of revenues. So there's a clear need for Angola to get some support under very concessionary levels, currently at 0%. Those discussions appear to be full going, and they expect to go on a mission, as they call it, to Angola very soon to establish the details of exactly what's going on in the economy and how this lending will roll out in the coming months.
Indeed. We'll leave it there for the time being. Thank you very much for the update. That's Daniel Ranges live in Washington, D.C.